Hello and welcome to another Wu-Tang Wednesday, and today I'm going to teach you how to write a literature essay. I'll use just one text to teach you this. I'll be looking at an Inspector Calls, but I'll explain to you how that applies to any text. There are only 5 steps, 5 really easy steps, and I hope you find this really useful. So here we go. This has been brought to you, if you like, by Jason Okwarobo. He's been contacting me on my channel with some questions about Eva Smith, and he wanted to know if he has to know every page about Eva Smith in order to get the A and the A star. Well, the answer is no, he doesn't, and no, you don't. But this is the skill that I've advised him he does need to get the A star. He needs to be able to evaluate. You'll remember that evaluate is having more than one point of view and choosing the one that you think is best. Okay, here that's going to be linked to Priestley's purpose because Priestley is our author. And then he's kindly told me that my videos are great. Thank you very much. Okay, well this is step 1. Always start with the author's point of view and purpose. So a character doesn't just happen, you know, they're not real people. The author picks that character because they've got a particular point of view. Well, if we look at Eva Smith, she's there to represent everybody. That's why her name is Smith. Her name is Eva, which reminds us of Eve, the first woman on earth. And so she's innocent, just like Eve was. And she represents everybody because we're all descended from Eve, if you take the Bible story in Genesis. So his purpose is to create a character who represents everyone in order to show that the upper classes prey on and victimize everyone. So I've got my point of view, and now I can start quoting and looking at the character in some detail. Well, how do I do that? The first thing I have to do is consider what my character is like. Here I've got 2 alternative representations of her. Okay, the first idea I want you to consider is that each character is not a real person, it's a construct. The author has literally constructed them to represent their thoughts. So if we take this view of Eva that you might be familiar with from the film, she's here to look dignified, innocent. You can see that she looks anxious. And if we look at quotations about her, we'll focus there on Eva as a victim of the Burlings and of the upper classes. Defenseless, which you can see in her suicide. However, if we take this image here, Eva is portrayed differently. Here she is a confident young woman looking to the future, and what's tragic in the play is that that future is taken away. So Gerald offered her a vital future, didn't he? And then he withdrew his love and support. Then Eric offered her a future of sorts, but then ruined it by getting her pregnant. She had a future when she was at Millwards, but Sheila took that future away. So 2 different interpretations of the character, 2 different ways of looking at her. So, do you want to see her as representing the downtrodden working class, or do you want to see her more as an individual who represents a working class that could rise up and become more powerful if only society was more just? So having those 2 alternative interpretations will always get you into the A and A star. So again, the same images, but just to make clear that having more than one interpretation of your quotations gets you into the A and A star category. Right, you've looked at, say, 3 key quotations in the novel, or the play in this instance, the text that you're studying, and you've tried to weigh up those opposing interpretations that you've got. You're going to come to a decision about which is best. You're going to evaluate, remember, and you'll always evaluate by looking at the ending. How has your view of that character changed? Change is the key thing that happens in any text. It could be a poem, There'll always be a change at the end. A novel, there'll always be a change, whatever the text is. So this method will always work. Think about the change and you'll get into the A and the A star. So by the ending of the novel, we've kind of forgotten about Eva. She's disappeared from action, hasn't she? The whole of the third act, she's not there. And why does Priestley do this? Well, actually, he wants us to focus on the upper classes. So now my view's changed. He's not that interested in the working classes themselves. He's interested in the upper classes and changing their viewpoint. Why? Well, they're the people who go to the theatre, aren't they? They're in the audience. They're the people getting this message, that they're the ones who've got to change in order for the working classes to have a happier life. And so he's focusing at the end, not so much on Eva, but on them. And then finally, you have to link that to the author's viewpoint. So now you're getting into the A-star territory. You've considered different points of view about the character. And now what's the author's viewpoint at the end? Well, we could argue that if everybody had learned their lesson, then the second phone call wouldn't have come, Eva wouldn't have died, and symbolically the working classes would have been saved. But they're not, because the upper classes don't learn their lesson. And the key point that I'd focus on there is when Gerald offers Sheila the ring again, and she doesn't reject him. She doesn't say it's all over. She just says, not yet, it's too soon. So we could use that as Priestley suggesting that the lesson that Eva was there to teach them will not have been learned. Future tragedy is inevitable. The working classes are still going to become exploited, and the ruling classes won't change their mind. So you can have quite a pessimistic view at the end of the play if you choose. And there you go, you link your character to that changing point of view in the author, and the A-star is yours. So I hope you found this helpful. Tune in next Wednesday for another Wu-Tang episode.